The topic I chose was alcohol-related blackouts amongst college students. I chose this topic because binge drinking amongst college students is a serious issue that can lead to poor decisions and issues that can have long-term outcomes as well. So what exactly is a blackout? Blackouts are a period of amnesia caused by excessive alcohol consumption, where a person still engages in normal behavior such as eating, fighting, and sexual intercourse. So basically, a student begins binge drinking. He or she then consumes a larger quantity of alcohol than their bodies can handle, or that they consume on a regular basis. And therefore, the student, now extremely intoxicated, loses perception of their actions until they wake up from a period of sleep. Just about that concept for a second of having absolutely no recollection of your actions from the night before, and think about the consequences that can come following that. For the most part, drinking in college can be a fun and safe experience that can make lasting memories with friends. However, it turns negative once one begins to binge drink to a degree where a blackout is induced. Whereas responsible drinking, on the other hand, has a much better chance of a positive outcome. In comparison, binge drinking causes a high risk of either being a victim of or a perpetrator of coercive sexual activities. The first article I chose was The Experiential Aspects of Alcohol-Induced Blackouts Amongst College Students, written by Aaron White, Matthew Signer, Courtney Krause, and Scott Schwartzwelder. The particular goal of this article was to understand the frequency of blackouts and what transpires during blackouts amongst college students. The authors hypothesized that as the dose increases, so does the magnitude of the memory impairments. Additionally, higher doses can produce profound impairments in the ability to acquire new information, sometimes resulting in blackouts. By doses, we were referring to the consumption of alcohol. 50 total participants were collected for this experiment. Out of that 50, 16 were male and 34 were female, all ranging from 18 to 22 years of age. Out of everyone, 35 were members of Greek societies. Subjects were found via flyers posted throughout campus requiring participants to have experienced at least one blackout. Of the 44 questions, 6 were regarding demographics and 28 regarded their drinking habits in the past 2 weeks. All participants were of varying ethnic backgrounds. Following analyzing the data, it was concluded that rapid rise in blood alcohol level was determined to be the cause of blackouts. Additionally, no student emerged from a blackout prior to waking up the next day. And lastly, subjects reported being able to piece together events that occurred with the help of peers, while unable to on their own. The second article I chose was called A Longitudinal Event Level Investigation of Alcohol Intoxication, Alcohol-Related Blackouts, Childhood Sexual Abuse, and Sexual Victimization Amongst College Students, written by Emily Wilhite, Travis Mallard, and Kim Fromm. The purpose of my second article is to examine the effect of blood alcohol level, history of alcohol-related blackouts, and childhood sexual abuse on the likelihood of being either a victim or perpetrator of coercive sexual activities. Now, my second article has 3 separate hefties. The first being higher estimated blood alcohol concentration being associated with a greater likelihood of sexual coercion or victimization. The second, blood alcohol level, history of blackouts, and a history of CSA will be independently associated with a greater likelihood of sexual coercion or perpetration. And lastly, a combination of higher blood alcohol content, a history of blackouts, and the history of CSA would be associated with a greater likelihood of sexual coercion, victimization, and perpetration relative to no history of these between-person variables. A total of 1,420 participants were used out of a pool of 2,000 total participants in a longitudinal study. Out of that 1,423 participants, 65% were female, 35% were male, 54% were Caucasian, and the rest were of varying ethnicities. Participants were then asked each day, for the total length of the trial, questions regarding their alcohol consumption and sexual activity from the night before. Data from this experiment can conclude that alcohol use, blackouts, and CSA are potent risk factors for victimization and perpetration of sexual coercion. Additionally, these findings emphasize the effects of hazardous drinking and blackouts on sexual victimization and perpetration, and further substantiate the urgent need to develop effective intervention and efforts to decrease the incidence of sexual assault on college campuses. Because each article's hypothesis was supported by its results, each one was successful. In Article 1, it was shown that a rapid rise in blood alcohol content was determined to be the cause of most blackouts. Additionally, no student emerged from a blackout prior to waking up the next day. Lastly, subjects reported being able to piece together events that occurred with the help of peers while unable to on their own. Within the second article, alcohol abuse, blackouts, and CSA were proven to be potent risk factors for the victimization and perpetration of sexual coercion. Additionally, it further emphasized the need for development of effective intervention and efforts to reduce the incidence of sexual assault on college campuses. So what can we take away from this? Binge drinking can lead to blackouts, which greatly lower your ability to make sound and conscious decisions. Because of this, blacking out greatly increases the chance of becoming a victim or perpetrator of coercive sexual activities. To lower the probability of this occurring, drink responsibly, in a safe environment, and with trusted friends. Additionally, college campus officials need to instill better policies to reduce the likelihood of coercive sexual activities. Simple things like security in dorms, added lighting on paths, and enforcing harsh penalties on perpetrators can make a significant difference in coercive activities. However, the most effective fight against this is just to not binge drink.